Okay, in this problem, an elementary school wants to send children to a museum. Adult supervision is needed. Tour groups can contain no more than 50 people. There must be at least one adult for every 9 students. Create the inequalities, graph the feasible region, and identify the vertices. First step is to identify the variables. The two objects that we're working with in this problem are students and adults. So we're going to let X represent the number of students and we're going to let Y represent the number of adults. Okay, there are going to be 4 inequalities that we work with. First of all, we're recognizing the fact that both students and adults, there are not going to be any negative amounts, so that automatically creates the inequality X is greater than or equal to 0 and Y greater than or equal to 0, which tells us that in a coordinate plane here, XY, that the region that we're going to be concerned with is in quadrant 1, which is in the top right hand of the coordinate plane. Alright, so that's what those two inequalities indicate to us. Alright, now let's look at the restrictions. Okay, so there is how many restrictions? I see 2. I can see, for instance, I see that there can be no more than 50 people. No more than 50 people. So right away that creates a restriction that the total amount of the people has to be less than or equal to 50. Alright? So who are the people? Well, they are the students and the adults. So if X is the number of students and Y is the number of adults, their sum has to be less than or equal to 50. So there's one of the inequalities right there. The other inequality is a tough one. Alright, there must be at least one adult for every 9 students. So let's take a look at that. So if I let, oh, that's horrible, sorry about that. If I were to draw a t-table, so if this is X and this is Y, so the minimum amount of adults, if I have 9 kids, I can at least have 1 adult. Okay? If I have 18 kids, I can have at least 2 adults. So let me ask you, I know that if I were to look at this as an equation, Y is equal to something times X. So let's plug some numbers in here. If I put 1 in here and 9 is here, what would this number have to be? Right? 9 times what equals 1? Well, let's look at this. How about 9? What would I multiply 9 over 1 by to get 1? I'm hoping you're going to tell me that 1/9 would be your answer. Let's try another one. What if I said that 2 was my Y and I had 18 over here? What would I multiply 18 over 1 by to get 2? Well, I'm hoping you're going to tell me it's 1/9 again, because in effect this becomes 18 over 9, which is 2. So if I had to write a second inequality, you know that the that this inequality is going to be Y. Now can it be more than 1? Yes. It's at least. Notice the phrase here must be at least 1 adult. Okay, at least 1 adult. Alright, so that being the case, then I know it's going to be Y is going to be greater than or equal to 1/9 X. Okay, so my 2 inequalities then that I'm going to use the X plus y less than or equal to 50. That's going to be one of my inequalities. The other inequality is y greater than or equal to 1/9 x. That's my other inequality. I have these two that I'm also going to use. So those are the four inequalities then that I'm going to use in creating my graph. These two right here I'm going to use to basically it creates this xy portion of the graph. I did that horribly, sorry. Okay, and now let's do this. So if I have x plus y less than or 50, let's make this color, let's go with a different color. Let's make that color kind of a off green. So we're going to create, so this inequality is going to be represented by this line. Okay, so if I were to ask you for 2 points to determine that line, if I let x be 0, what would y have to be in order to make this a true equation? X plus y equals 50. Well, if x is 0, that means y is going to have to be 50. And if I let y be 0, that means x is going to have to be 50. So if I graph that, so I have 2 points here. I have 0, 50, 1 point, and I have 50, 0 is another point. So if I were to go ahead and construct a line, okay,